Hi, and welcome to another installment of If It's in the Mind, It Can Be Managed, the Mind Management Mentors podcast. Now, in case you've not tuned in before, let me explain. There's three parts to the podcast that we have at the Mind Management Mentors. We're helping people manage their minds, giving them solutions to move forward. The second pillar of the podcast is helping coaches understanding what they need to do to make sales, market themselves, and become the coach they want to be. And that's what we're covering today. However, the third part of the podcast is workplace wellness, talking to HR managers, getting their feedback and getting them in on to see why businesses can really use that heart-centered approach to get what they want out of their business, a bigger return on investment. But today is all about coaches. So if you are a coach, if you are a mental health support worker, or you're in the field of wanting to learn how to make more sales, then this is going to be the podcast for you. We've got an expert in this, and it is Brendan Walsh. Tell them who you are and what you do, Brendan.
Thanks, Cody. Yes, Brendan Walsh, as you say. My business is called Hawthorne Business Group, and I class myself as a sales trainer and sales coach. So typically I work with my clients to help them devise a sales strategy. And in that, sales is quite simple if you say it quickly. So it's what do our ideal clients look like and how are we going to meet them? So if you say that quickly, it sounds easy, but we know it's a lot harder than that.
Yes.
So I get my clients to develop activity plans, and then I help the sales managers or the individuals manage themselves or manage their people around the activity plan.
I have 1,001 questions. To be fair, I do. And I want to explain why I've got some questions, because I've been on a few sales experiences, if you like, where I signed up to somebody's funnel, their business structure, and thought, right, I'll ask some questions. So I have two examples of one absolutely atrociously horrible sales experience that I had where I wanted to punch the person in the throat.
That's never a good sign, is it, mate?
It's not, right? And honestly, I'll even tell everybody what some of those sales tactics were, and I'm going to ask you why would they do that anyway. And I'll also share about what I think about the mindset towards sales should be. And you can say, Brendan, that is total bullshit. It should not be like that at all. So, and I'll also share another experience that I just had about 2 weeks ago with a company down in London asking me if I wanted to go to their big expo. And I only clicked on the link because I thought I need to learn their sales process. And it was fantastic. It was amazing. And I had to write to the company and say, look, I'm sorry I can't do it this year, but can I please say how nice this person was? I've even done a post on LinkedIn about it. And I mean, so I became one of their salespeople because they treat me so nice through the process. So the first experience I had was with it must be, it was a sales thing. Learn how to sales, create your own video course. It was £4,000, and we'll show you how to do everything so that I could make £20,000.
Right.
This was about 5 years ago, Brendan. And I clicked on the link on Facebook. I got into their system. I think I've been told it's a funnel now, whatever. And they said, can we have a phone call with you? I said, yeah, absolutely. I really want to listen to the phone call. I was really interested. And within the space of 45 minutes, the first 20 minutes was brilliant. And I said, well, I need to have a little bit of time to think about it because it's a big investment and I need to speak to my wife about it. And that second, I'm not going to name the person. I'm not going to name the person because they're quite a big in the guru world.
Yeah.
John, it was John Nemberworthy. I said the last name wrong. Purposely. I said the last name purposely wrong. Nemberworthy. Wasn't Nemberworthy. Right. And I liked him on the video and I liked him and I was speaking to I thought, right, he resonates with me. Listened to his webinar, got booked in. Within 20 minutes, they went in full pelt. Do you want me to speak to your wife? Why should I call you back? Why should I wait? This is your opportunity now. And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to, but get off the phone because if you were here, I'd slap you.
Yeah.
Like the most atrocious sales thing I've ever been. It kind of scarred me for life.
Absolutely.
What kind of sales is that, Brendan?
Well, it's dreadful, and actually, it's a good example because that's told me two things. One, you're right, that's a really good example of poor salesmanship. And secondly, you've dropped the magic word. So I'm okay now with doing it.
Oh yeah, you can swear. It's all right.
I'm Australian. It's in my language. I'll
Yeah.
try not to, but anyway. No, I mean, I think it's one of the reasons. I've just got a little piece here. Let me talk you through this. You can give me your other example in a moment. And that is only 3% of buyers trust salespeople. The only professions with less credibility, right? The only professions with less credibility, look at you laughing, include car sales. Sorry if there's any car salesmen out there listening. Politics and lobbying. Now, I'm not totally sure what lobbyists do. I suspect they're responsible for Brexit. But anyway, so they're the only professions with less levels of trust than salespeople. And I say to people, well, I train salespeople. So, and they look at me, oh, God. So you're responsible for all that? No, hang on a minute. Why do you think so few people trust salespeople, Cody?
I don't believe half the shit that comes out of the mouth.
Yeah.
When I see the adverts, because I'm in the coaching space, so I'm a mind management coach on the cusp of life coaching, and all I hear is if you're not earning 10K a month, you're not a good enough coach. You
Yeah.
should be earning 20K a month. I can officially say I am not earning 10K a month.
Right.
But I'm also not
What's
beating
wrong with you,
myself up
mate?
about it. But there's a part of it I'm like, just surely it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I read them.
I think there's a number of reasons why people don't trust salespeople. I think from the salesperson's point of view, I think they're probably under a lot of pressure if they're in sales teams working for like medium or large businesses, that maybe the sales manager or the MD is saying, "Come on, we need more sales, more sales, more sales." It's like saying to a footballer, "Come on, we need more goals. We need you to score more goals." Well, okay, that's obvious, but how are we going to do it? And I think what happens is salespeople maybe ask one or two questions because they think they should, or they've been taught that they should. And when they get a sniff of a product, they do a product dump on the customer. And it's one thing to realize about customers, no matter how hurtful this sounds, Cuddy, they don't care about you or your business. All they care about is themselves. Now, that can change if you have longer term relationships with clients. I get that. And, I've got some of my clients I'm friends with. So, I mean, that does change. But up front, people only care about what you can do for them. And there's another stat from HubSpot research that says that 80% of salespeople say they sell to meet the needs of their clients. So when I'm talking about meeting the needs of your clients, to me, it's like you're painting a painting of your client. And you can only do that by asking great questions, and it's only when you've got that painting completed and you fully understand their needs that you should start thinking about a solution. You shouldn't be thinking about a solution or price when you're painting that painting, because you're exploring their needs. How can you know what you're going to offer them when you don't know all their needs? So I think 80% of salespeople say they do that. 80% of customers say they don't. So in the one interaction, we've basically got totally opposing views of what's going on. So, and as I said, when we do this product dump on our customers without understanding their needs, they're not the least bit interested. You see them glaze over, because they only care about what you can do for them, but you haven't bothered to ask. So what I'm talking about is painting that picture. And in the first meeting with the customer, or can I say with a prospect? So in other words, a prospect is, as you would know, someone that's not a customer yet. They should do 80% of the talking. The prospect should do 80% of the talking, because you're finding out about them.
Oh, nice.
And that's very, very important. I should have brought, I usually have a hammer in here, not to attack people. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah, go.
Going back to the long time ago, when I was 17, I was a cashier in a bank in Melbourne, right? And as a 17-year-old, can you imagine me? as a 17-year-old, I was very gobby. Well, I'm gobby now, so you can imagine what I was like when I was 17. So the bank I was working for brought in a new form of savings account called Target Savings, and it was actually the deposit books had predetermined amounts. They were for $2, $5, or $10. And the manager said, right, whoever opens the most of these accounts in any month gets a day off that month. Young Walsh, this is for me, right? Anyone that walked through the door was getting one of these accounts, whether they did it or not. And after 3 months, the manager stopped it. He said, well, and what you were supposed to do with these accounts is pay in every payday. And then at the end, when you used up all the deposits in the book, the bank would send you a check for the amount of deposits plus interest. For those younger viewers out there, checks, well, Google checks, you'll be fine. Anyway, so the manager stopped it. He said, well, this is not, people obviously don't need these accounts. And I'm thinking, well, that wasn't part of the deal. You said whoever opened the most got a day off. So imagine this is my pen, obviously. But imagine this is a hammer. When you're holding a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. So customers walking through the front door, here's young Walsh with his hammer. They're getting Target Savings accounts, whether they need it or not. That's not part of the deal. And that's how too many people sell.
So that's bad sales then?
Oh, it's terrible. It's the worst. I didn't know anything when I was, I know very little now, but I knew very little when I was 17, I can tell you. No, that's terrible sales. And that's why the manager stopped it, because it was driving the wrong behaviours in our customers.
Right. Now knowing what I know about sales, what they were trying to do is they were trying to drive scarcity and fear with me.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why should I call you back? This is an amazing opportunity that you're going to miss out on. And even that sentence structure, I was like, wanker. Wanker.
Well, it's trying to drive fear of missing out, FOMO or whatever it's called, fear of missing out. I don't want to miss out on this great opportunity. It's not the way to sell. When people approach me and say, Brendan, if you sign up today, we'll give you 20% or 50% off or whatever. My first thought is, why? Is your product not very good? Are you not very good? Why are you giving it away up front? When you don't even know me. That's terrible. So they haven't, explored. It's all about exploring needs. Sales is not about hard selling anything. It's not about, pushing products. Sales is about building relationships. B2B sales I'm talking about. It's about building long-term relationships, built on openness and trust and honesty. And it's mainly about, you don't sell products and services, you sell solutions to meet needs.
Right. Okay. So I love that. So I've got two other parts to this. The second part is I want to share with everyone a great, fantastic sales thing that I couldn't do, and because I'd had that bad experience, I just was sat there, and I was a little bit like, oh, do you know what? I clicked on they reached out to me in LinkedIn, and I clicked on it just because it kind of resonated with me without being. I get approached with blank messages in LinkedIn 25 times a day, to be fair. I just delete. But this one, I was like, right, yeah, no worries, book it in. And we booked in the chat, and we had a chat. Young guy, I'm 47, so young guy, and he was just nice from start to finish. And I just was like, I can't afford it, to be fair. I says, however, I'd really like to be on the mailing list for next year because I'd like a longer goal.
Yeah.
They went, yeah, absolutely fine. Not a problem. We can do that. And there was no, oh, why can't you afford it? Or there's a payment plan here, or there's this, or you can get a credit card, or you can do this, or you can do this, which I've had in the past. And I'm like, nah. And I actually went back and I've just done a LinkedIn post saying, by the way, they've reached out to me again. A space has opened up. Does anybody want this space and this opportunity? Yeah. So I became a seller for them. I actually started selling for them.
Even though you didn't buy?
Even though I didn't buy, just because of the service that I got.
Fantastic.
I went to their boss and went, like, by the way, he was called Elliot. I went, you've got to give Elliot a round of applause. Now, I didn't like his reply. He went, oh, I'll take that as a compliment because I trained him. I'm like, it's not about you. It's about him. He did well. He did well. So I read between the lines. I'm like, don't make it about you. It was the young team that was really good.
And what was it? What was it that he did that you liked, Kelly?
They showed me a really nice presentation about what it was, and he asked me questions about me. He asked, "Am I a founder?" And he did ask me. He asked me questions about me, and he says, "Because to be fair, we want to make sure this is the right fit for you before we even start talking about prices."
Yeah.
And I got to a certain point. I'm like, right, I get it. Move on to the next bit. I don't need to know about that. I actually started pushing him through his presentation because I was like, I'm enjoying it, but I'm going to zone out. What's
Yeah.
the next part and tell me what the costs are. And he said he didn't even try and change me. He said it's not really a cost; it's an investment. Which that's always been like a really annoying thing to be fair. I'm like, no, it's a cost. We can say it's
Yeah.
investment.
Am I having to pay money to you? If the answer to that's yes, it's a cost.
I said, just tell me what it is. And they told me what the price was like. I'm like, that's really affordable, by the way. They went, yeah, we've tried to make it really hard. I'm like, but that's really, I just don't have the money at the moment. I said, well, I thought it was going to be double the price.
Yeah.
And they were
Just
like,
broadly, what were they selling? I don't need to know.
so it was for a training and learning and development within the workplace expo, CPD Expo down in London.
Right. Okay. Right. So would you go and exhibit at it, or would
I
you
would. They were asking me to go down and exhibit. Would they like
Right.
priority my management to go down and exhibit the products that we have for businesses that we work with,
Okay.
For the trainings that we do, which are a little bit different. With and Brendan, I've got a feeling I'm going to go into a sales pitch with you. So
let's see how I react to it.
Let's do that. Because you are the sales expert. Perfect. So Brendan, my trainings are a little bit different. We're not a tick boxing exercise for mental health or emotional intelligence. There's too many gray areas that we work in that's not black and white. And a lot of businesses like, oh, we need a mental health training. I'm like, no, that's not us.
But every individual's different, isn't it?
Yes.
Would that be right? Yes.
Yes. And I'm like, we're not a mental health. I went, you can get that for free. You can get somebody come in and do the training for mental health. Not a problem. What we do is we help the managers and leaders actually communicate to a way that will not trigger people. And the major part of it's called slap training. So if you could slap your staff for positive mental health, would you do it? And everybody goes, yeah, can you tell me more about that training? I'm like, absolutely. Let's start slapping them. So I show people how to listen and ask the questions at the right time that will help your staff or your managers, anyone who works for you, to start thinking on their own. So they'll not come to you less in they'll come to you less in the future. So there's like a bit of work to do at the beginning, and then slowly the ball will start running. They went, oh, I don't need to come and see you anymore. No, because you've got it. You know how to think. You know how to work it. You know how to do it, just by using certain language structures and helping them feel heard. So I literally coach people on how to listen, not listen to respond. Listen, because everybody wants to feel heard and everybody wants to be valued.
Which is possibly the number one sales skill, active listening.
People just don't listen, but they don't know how to listen. So there's an old adage, Brendan, which is, why have we got two ears and why have we got
yeah.
That doesn't work because people say, oh, it's to listen. But if you don't know what to listen for, because you can be sat there going, I don't know what this person's talking about. I have no interest in it whatsoever. They're talking about their dog that died this weekend, and I'm thinking about the deadline that I've got to do on Friday. So I can help someone to...
And listen, you get in the zone.
Yes.
You get in the zone. And when you've got a customer in front of you, particularly, because we are talking about sales, you need to be in that zone and don't let anything... if there's other people walking around or if there's phones ringing or whatever, don't even think of letting it interrupt you. Be focused on that individual.
Yeah.
Very important.
So, Brendan, as an expert, what's the difference between marketing and sales?
Well, I'm not an expert in marketing.
I know you're not. So why?
Get me off the hook. Well, let me. You play golf, Cody?
I have played golf in the past.
Well, I think a good analogy is a bit of a golfing analogy in that marketing tees the ball up and sales hits it.
Oh.
And so sales is that face-to-face interaction with the customer, where marketing is everything that goes into setting up that interaction.
Qualifying the lead.
Yeah.
So marketing qualifies the lead
Well, it should. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I often see businesses have got a great, spent a lot of money on marketing. This is our marketing plan, and for some reason it doesn't work. Probably because the salespeople aren't following it up effectively, and of course the salespeople then blame the marketers, and of course the marketers will blame the same salespeople. So yeah, so that's how I see it. But as I said, I'm not a marketing expert.
I know. That's why I wanted to know the difference on sales. Yeah,
but I think sales is something. I come across. I do quite a lot of networking. I come across a lot of marketing people, which is fine. I come across very, very few people that do what I do.
It's true, actually. There's not many sales coaches.
No, and I kind of don't know why. Maybe people see it as being difficult because it can be, but it shouldn't be. The other thing is people say that good salespeople are born, not made. That's bullshit. Yeah,
it is. It's bullshit. Yeah.
The traditional view of salespeople is people that can talk underwater, got the gift of the gab. Dare I say, people like you and I, Cuddy. But actually, what we know about sales now, it's about asking great questions, shutting up and listening to the client, and active listening. Well, people like you and I generally are less likely to do that, because we like to chat, So sales is a skill, and because it's a skill, it can be learned. Absolutely. But people have got to want to learn it, because if you don't want to learn, you won't learn anything, will you?
True.
So I've got a bit about, so that's how we go about talking to people. And I'm conscious, this is for coaches, probably maybe one man or one woman bands setting up their own.
Absolutely. They've done their online training. They've become a life coach with their £7 coaching course, which is out there for everyone.
Right.
And they're like, right, now I want to start turning up to the world.
Okay. So what we talked about there was, how we talk to customers, or more appropriately, how we're getting them talking to us, because it's all about the customer, never about you. It's never about you, Kelly. Never.
I disagree with that. Carry on. I'm just kidding.
The other part is how we go about finding new prospects and customers. So I'm about to say something. Half of our audience will probably switch off. Results are not the most important part of sales.
Ooh!
Controversial. Right. Let me explain what I mean. You ever watch Doctor Who, Cuddy?
When I was a child, I don't like it now.
Anyway, Doctor Who's got a TARDIS, a time machine, right? TARDIS stands for time and relative dimension in space. I don't know if did you know that?
No, but I do now.
Anyway, have you got a TARDIS? Have you got a time machine?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, in that case, you can't change your results. Your results have happened. It's what you did last year, last month, last week, this morning, whatever. You can't change your results. Okay? They're reactive and they're backward looking. What do we sweat over most? Our results.
Yeah.
Don't we? We say, oh, if only we'd done this, or if only we'd done something different. We sweat on something we can't change. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
No. It's a big thing.
So what's more important is the activity that we put in to drive our results going forward. And sales activity is proactive and forward-looking. Results are reactive and backward-looking. Now, of course, we can learn from our results. Something worked brilliantly. You know what? Let's try that again. Or something didn't work. Well, why didn't it work? I thought it should have. Let's analyze how we actually did it. So, of course, you can learn from your results, but you can't change them. Okay. So sales activity is number one thing in sales. It's what activity you're putting in to drive your results going forward. And in sales activity, everything you do, Cuddy, is QDQ. QDQ standing for, I have to have these little things because I'm old and I forget them, right?
I love it. I love
these little acronyms. QDQ stands for quantity, direction, and quality. So these three things: quantity, sales activity. This is in sales activity. So are we doing enough activity? Are we doing enough? Direction. Are we doing it with the right people? Are we going to the right networking events, joining the right groups, getting on the right podcasts, if you like? finding the right prospects, making the right calls, whatever. So direction. And the second Q is quality. Are we doing it with skill, knowledge, and enthusiasm? On a needs-based selling basis, in other words, focusing on the client's needs. Bear in mind, 80% of salespeople say they do that, but 80% of clients say they don't. So we're doing it on a needs-based selling basis, and we're doing it all with a smile on your face. If you're in sales, a good thing that when you get up in the morning, if you're brushing your teeth, have a look in the mirror and ask yourself a question: would I buy from me? So QDQ. So these three aspects of QDQ are non-compensating, and by that I mean that for high performance in sales, you need high levels of all three. So let's look at
high level quantity, high level direction, high level quality.
You need a high level of all three for high performance. So let's have a look if one's missing. So quantity, we're doing heaps of activity, fantastic. Direction, we're doing it with the right people, with the right networking events, fantastic. But the second Q, quality, we're not doing it very well. In that case, you'll have a level of performance, but you won't have high performance. And probably that example you gave earlier about the people that were hard selling to you, they're lacking in the second Q. They got the quantity right, they're doing one, and they're doing it with the right person, but they're screwing up the quality. And this applies to all three. So quality, you could be doing it different, doing it with the right people, but you're not doing enough of it. Or you could be doing enough of it. Sorry, what's the other one?
Quality, direction, and quantity.
Yeah, so you need high levels of all three, is what we're saying. And what you often see, this 80% of salespeople that say they sell to meet the needs of their clients, but their clients say they don't, they're falling down on quality, which is basically selling like Del Boy, who's very funny and we love him, but you wouldn't want to sell like him.
But what? So right now, that's a really good point there, because that's where authenticity. What if somebody is a Del Boy? What if that's literally their persona? They're going to resonate. I was watching something the other day, and please, Brendan, share your thoughts on this. Is you're better off repelling people so that you can attract the ones that want to work with you.
Yeah.
So repel the ones that don't want you and attract the ones that do want you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Providing you're not repelling the ones that want to work with you. And if you're not following,
I wouldn't be repelling. I love that. See, this is. I don't know if this is psychology, but this is genuinely like, right, we're right in the ballpark there.
Yeah.
If they didn't want to work with you, you wouldn't be repelling them in the first place.
Well, you would if you're hard selling to them. So if let's say you really need a sales coach. Let's say, right? Yeah. And I say, and we get in touch, and you say, I'm Cuddy. I'm looking for a sales coach, and for the next 20 minutes. I say, well, this is how good I am. This is what sales coaching is. Blah blah blah. This is what I can do for you. And after 20 minutes, your eyes are glazing over, even though you would be a direct prospect of mine, but I've just screwed it up
because you never asked questions. So, by the way, I just found out I am doing sales the right way.
Good man. Well played.
Because I always ask questions to make sure that I'm the right person for them. In fact, I probably overqualify my new class, because I'll open up and say this is generally my sales pattern with anyone. When anyone gets in contact, I'm like, let's sit down and have a free 45-minute, 30-minute introduction session, chemistry session, because I need to make sure that you don't mind my hair, you don't mind my glasses, and you don't mind my language. I'm going to be this person in the coaching session.
Man, I can't look at anything else but your hair, to be honest.
I know, but if you're going to be sat there going, what's he doing with his hair? Then the coaching that I offer is not going to work.
I'm only kidding.
No, but it's true though, right?
Yeah. But the other thing is, human nature kicks in when we're in sales. So if you get objections, so if people object to something, right, they might say, I don't know, I'm happy with my current coach, or you're too expensive, or whatever it might be, or I haven't got time for a coach, or whatever. The natural human reaction when someone objects to something we're saying is to go into information overload. Oh, Cuddy, that's not right. No, blah 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 blah. And again, I get back to hard selling. which is again is exactly the wrong way to do it. So an objection is an unmet need. So when you were painting your painting, when you were, asking all the questions about needs, businesses are complex. You might not have covered everything, and that's okay. So if someone objects to something, treat it as an unmet need. So empathise firstly, because people might object to something to see how much if it'll wind you up, right? So empathise to say, well, something like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, or I can understand why price budget is important in this day and age. Absolutely. Then go back to asking questions.
Yeah.
So don't go into information overload. Ask them more questions about it. So, for example, if someone says to me, I don't believe in sales training, God forbid, I'd say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I mean, I'm not going to agree. Empathizing is not agreeing with someone. I'm not going to agree with them because, I've only been doing it for 30 years. I'm not that much of a fan either. But what I would probably say, is something like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Tell me why you do feel that way. What experience with sales training have you had in the past? Okay, how did your team feel about it? Was there anything they liked about it? What did they not like about it? And then you're finding out maybe, again, God forbid, maybe they thought the trainer was a dickhead.
I love it. This is so good, Brendan.
So then you're being targeted. It's not like with the objection, normally we're shooting in the dark. But actually, if you go through this process, you've got the telescopic sights on and you know exactly what you're shooting at.
I noticed that you did the shark for the hair, by the way. I love that.
That's right.
I love that. So so when the first objection comes up, you ask me, don't information overload. Find out their bad experiences that's created the objection.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That is an absolute nugget right there. So
and, yeah. So
I have
the final thing I'll say there, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Oh.
So be nosy. Be nosy. That's what it's all about. And I think some people will say to me, yeah, but hang on, if I've got a prospect or a customer in front of me, they're not going to like me asking all these questions. And I'll say, well, actually, it's the opposite. So if you think that's the case, and I think this is a good idea, ask permission to explore their needs. So I would say, we do our building rapport. Hi, Cuddy, how you doing? Love your hair, that sort of stuff. I'm fixated by it.
You really are fixated by the hair.
No,
by the way, it's my USP, so it's not a problem.
All right, well, that's a good thing to be fixated by then. So I would say up front, Cuddy, I'm a sales trainer and a sales coach. This is who I work with, just very briefly. Then I would say what I would like to do, Cuddy, is to ask you a heap of questions so that I can fully understand your business. Yes, I've had a look at your website and so on, but I'd like to ask you a heap more questions so that any recommendations I make in terms of solutions are very appropriate and meet your needs. Is that okay?
I love the asking permission. I always do that. Right, perfect. Okay.
So in other words, you say, yeah, Brendan, that's fine. If you say no, well, it's going to be a pretty short meeting, to be honest. But if you say yes, well, then ask away, and, it's funny because people, anyone in a sales role, people expect that you're going to hard sell. So I'll say that up front, and people will often say, yeah, that's okay, but I've only got 45 minutes, Brendan. And I'll say, that's absolutely fine. 45 minutes later, I'm still there, and I'm still asking questions, and the prospect is spilling the beans because most people just talk about themselves, in terms of the salesperson talking about themselves. But when you let individual talk about themselves, particularly if they're a business owner or a manager, which a lot of your coaches will be working with, they'll tell you everything you want to know if you ask good questions.
Yeah, it's true. That's the whole premise of my management coaching is asking the right questions at the right time, and they'll divulge everything that they need to know. Okay, so fascinating talk, by the way, especially fascinating talk. I do have a question. From your experience, is it better, or completely blow me out of the water this, to drive scarcity and fear or drive abundance and joy?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. It's abundance and joy. Why would you drive fear?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Well, I wouldn't, because that's not a way to start a relationship. So are you in a relationship with someone, Cuddy?
Yes, yeah, my wife. Yeah.
Okay. When you first met her, did you drive scarcity and fear with her?
Absolutely not.
No.
I think she's probably fallen into that trap now, to be fair.
That's no way to build a relationship, is it?
So
Because
building
what you want is an
relationships.
ongoing relationship. I've got client. I've been in business in Edinburgh for 16 years. I've got a client from the time I spent in London, in Hertfordshire, actually, that have been clients for 19 years. And they're still clients. Yes, they dip in and out from time to time, but they're still clients. And, it's all about building long-term relationships. And I just think it's all about joy and what's the other word you said? Joy and
Abundance.
Abundance, yeah. Everything should be positive.
I love that.
Particularly in terms of openness and honesty. So if you can't do something for someone, just look, I'm really sorry, Cody. That's you're a mind management coach. Yes, I can coach you in terms of building your business,
yeah,
and in terms of selling. But if you're asking me to talk, to coach you in mind management or that sort of stuff, that is not for me.
Yeah.
So it's about being authentic, being open, and being honest. And you know what? If you're those things, you'll never have to remember what you said. Because actually, I think a while ago, a guy said to me, I was meeting with a guy at a networking event. He said, I saw you give a presentation and you said, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, with all due respect, that's not something I would have said. And they said, oh, you definitely did. I said, well, again, with all due respect, I would never, I'm telling you, I don't remember it. I would never have said that in a million years.
It's funny that and it does a lot of the times come out it depends how the words have landed, doesn't it? It depends of the perspective of whatever.
On how they interpret it. Yeah,
how
absolutely.
they interpret it. Because I generally don't know what I'm talking about, but somebody will come and say, oh, you mentioned this, and I'm like, no, because I don't know anything about that subject, so I wouldn't mention that. Yeah. I only ever talk about what I know in that moment.
Yeah.
With a lot of the stand-up presentations and they're talking, but it's weird how people hear and are impacted by a different conversation sometimes.
Well, sometimes people hear what they want to hear, and particularly in a presentation, because it's one way. And yes, I know you can ask questions at the end, but actually it's only when you start, well, tell me what you mean by that, Cuddy. How do you understand that? And you start, and that's in sales as well. When you've finished your exploring their needs, and you should, take heaps of notes, explore needs. And there's a statistic that says something like, I think 60% of customers think that if you're not taking notes, you're not interested. So
writing down the notes make them think you're interested.
Yeah. I think it's very much a part that when you get to the end of that exploring needs, summarize the needs back to the customer. So if you're my customer again, so Cuddy, what I heard you say was blah, 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 blah. Is that correct? Yes, Brendan, that's fine. Is there anything else I've missed? Well, actually, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah, perfect.
And when you're repeating it back, if you use the client's words, it's even better because it shows you've been listening.
No, paraphrasing is bullshit, by the way. There's a better way than paraphrasing. I've got a video course out on clean language.
Right.
And clean language is such a powerful set of linguistic tools, and it's how you can ask questions and get people to think for themselves by breaking down the walls of.
You weren't trying to sell something there, Cuddy?
No, absolutely not. Not to the sales coach. But there's a part in there that stop paraphrasing because you're so focused on the last three words of what the person said, you forgot to listen to the entire part of the conversation.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's actually more parroting than paraphrasing, isn't it? I mean,
it is. I remember paraphrasing is always use the last three words back to them so they felt like they've been heard. And I'm like, no, you're only repeating back the last three words.
Because you might not get the real meaning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Spot on.
I love that. So
one other, can I just throw
please do. By the way, I am sucking from the teat of Brendan right now. This is fantastic.
Well, that's good because you're going to get an invoice at the end of it. No, he's not viewers. No, I'm only kidding. This is a little bit of a nugget for, a lot of your viewers are coaches. The skills of coaching is very similar to the skills you need in sales because it's all about asking great questions.
Yeah.
And you coaches out there, you'll go into a coaching session and you'll ask a heap of questions. Well, sales should be no different, particularly up front. Find out, paint that painting, find out all there is to know about your prospect or your client.
Perfect.
Very similar skills.
I love it. I love it. So I do have a question about when somebody's found me and come to the coach, the money's not being listed. A lot, I see people have money on the website, what they charge and what they don't charge. And it's a very weird thing for if they can't afford you, they won't get in contact with you. Or if they can, I don't get the concept of it. But when do you mention, because I know I like to know the price before I sign up. There's no point me wasting anybody's time.
So when do you mention the P word?
When do you mention the P word?
Yeah.
The payment.
That's tricky, isn't it? Well, from my perspective, when I'm with a prospect, I'll go through the exploring needs. When you're exploring needs, if you're a salesperson, never bring up price. Now, the customer can bring it up, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you're the salesperson and you're exploring their needs, never bring up price. Why would you? You don't know what they need. You're exploring their needs. Listen to the term, exploring their needs. So why would you say, oh, by the way, it's going to cost X pounds when you don't know what their needs are? So if the client asks, put it off, don't answer it. People will often say to me, so Brendan, if I can just interrupt, what's this going to cost? I will say, well, actually, I'm not sure at this stage because I don't think I fully understand your needs yet. And the client will often follow that up with, yeah, but what's your day rate? That's what's your day rate? And I'll say, again, it really depends. So it depends on what your needs are, the scope of the project, or whether it's a one-off or whatever. So when you're exploring needs, do not answer the price question. Agree or disagree, Cody? What do you think?
Honestly, mate, I am sat here learning, Brendan. The reason I get certain people on the podcast is because I want it to be a podcast I would watch and learn and take some value away.
I saw something, I think it was an American sales coach, a blog he'd written, or it might have been a podcast, and he said, when you're exploring needs, if they ask the question about price, just ignore it. And I think, well, what, you're going to completely ignore the customer? I'm not sure that's good practice, but you see the point he's getting at. That you shouldn't be answering the price question when you're exploring needs.
Love it. Massive takeaways here. So we've got in the sales approach, you've got your QDQ, which is quality, direction, and quality.
Yeah.
Quantity, direction, and quality. Making sure you stood in the right place. Make sure you've got plenty of activity, whether on your social media or face to face. And then the quality of the sale that will come down to skills, knowledge, and needs. Always drive abundance and joy when it comes to the sales. But the biggest successful secret is never mention the P word until you've explored their needs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to write that down because that's going to be a part of the podcast.
Right. Okay. I think the biggest takeaway should be that when you're holding a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. When you've got a prospect in front of you, get them doing the talking. Here's another gem. You want another gem?
I want another gem because this is absolutely laden with them, Brendan.
The best thing you can do in sales, that's the best preparation. Start with a blank page, and yet that's not quite right because I suggest people prepare questions to ask. So it's not quite right. But start with a blank page and ask questions and fill your page up. And as you're what you want, this exploring needs discussion. So the first sort of investigation, if you like, of their needs. It should be like you're in the pub with your mates on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Probably before about the fifth pint, Cuddy. So it's like you're chatting to them. It's not an interrogation. So you should be asking good open questions, because if you ask a lot of closed questions, in other words, short answers, it becomes an interrogation almost. It's open questions. Tell me a bit more about your business. And also, once they get talking, make notes. Oh, you mentioned earlier, Cuddy, that you had experience in blah, blah, blah. Tell me a bit more about that. Okay, and what did that mean to the people you were coaching? How did they feel about it? Right. And are you still working with them? You know, in what ways are you working? So making it conversational. Tell me more about that. Linking questions, you know,
Yeah,
linking the conversation. And that's the job of the salesperson, to link them together.
nice.
I've got one or two more gems here in front of me. If you want more gems?
I'm going to take every one of your gems, mate. Absolutely. By the way, every coach that's watching this or anyone's watching this is like, he's giving it all away for free. Absolutely.
Actually, we went. So I'm from Melbourne. Don't hold that against me, mate. But we
No.
went back there about 8 years ago. We're going again in September, October, end of September and October this year. And we went. There's a sanctuary for Australian marsupials called Hillsville Sanctuary for animals that have been hit on the road and stuff. They have, you know, but it's like a little zoo for Australian animals as well. And we got an audience with a wombat called Jem. And it was with Susan. Her kids were in their early 20s at the time, and they were just blown away. And Susan's Scottish, so you know, they were blown away by Jem the wombat. So there we go. So here's a Jem the
There's
wombat.
another gem.
It's a Jem. So following up. So prospects, if we've had one interaction or number of interactions, salespeople are crap at following up.
I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, but supposedly when you've had that follow-up, there's supposed to be like 8 follow-ups before they even think about it.
It's something like that. Well, there's a few statistics here. I'm happy to send these to you in an email or something if you want afterwards. But so 53% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. So they've had a face-to-face or they've had a phone call or maybe a LinkedIn or whatever. So 53% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. 25% make a second contact and stop. 12% make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Okay? Hang on to that for a moment. 2% of sales are made on the first contact, 3% on the second, 5% on the third, 10% on the fourth. This is an average of industries. It feels about right for my businesses, and for your coaches out there, this will be about right for them. So 80% of sales are made between 5 and 12 contacts. Right? So 80% of sales are made between 5 and 12 contacts, but only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts.
5 to 12. So it's literally, I mean, that's just mind-blowing.
Well, can you see why we struggle with sales?
After the second email, I'm like, I'm not pestering them. But now I understand why I've got a repeated part of. I'm actually going to message somebody else now because of. Do you know what? Funnily enough, I've been messaging just to take her out for a coffee, just so I can ask questions.
Yeah.
Because they're in the industry that I want to work with. But I also know it's weird on LinkedIn. I don't know the person. I know I live quite locally to her. I've said, look, I just want to take you for a coffee. I've sent 2 messages, no reply. So I have to like send 10 to 11. My God! So 10 to 11 touch points.
Yeah,
Sorry, 5 to 11 touch points.
5 to 12. 80%
5
of
to
sales
12,
are made
and that's where
5 and
80%
12
of the sales are. And most people only follow up 3 times.
90% of people.
Wow.
It's only one that we struggle with this stuff.
Wow.
I think with a prospect, people will buy on their own time frame when they're good and ready to buy. But you want them to buy on your time frame. But actually, when you're getting in touch with people, here's their to-do list. They might have 20 things on their to-do list to do this week. And guess what? You're not one of them, mate.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's actually getting yourself promoted up that to-do list.
Perfect. So that's very good. That's a gem.
That's all HubSpot research, I might add. That's
I know, but it's still, Brian, I know it's still a great place for you to get that information as well. But, however, that being said, who has Brendan Walsh worked with?
Who do I work with?
Yeah, who have you worked with? Do me a couple of name drops.
Okay. Well, I'm currently my 18-year, 19-year client from Hertfordshire is a company called Ashbourne Insurance, who are insurance brokers. I think they've got about 20 or so staff. They're a family business, and it's the second generation running the business now. about to be the third generation. The third generation is employed. I also work with a business called Smartphone, who there's a Canadian CEO, and most of their customer base is in the US, but they're mainly based in Romania. So I've been out to Romania a few times. And they started with 3 founders 7 years ago. They've now got 57 people.
Wow.
And I've done less sales work with them, but I've been running, I do leadership work as well. I've been running leadership academies with them, which I'm really enjoying that as well. And in Edinburgh, I've worked with, there was a company called Change Works Recycling. They're now Change Waste Recycling. I started working with them in about 2010, and I was working with them up until about a year ago. So
Change Works. I'm sure. Oh no, it's Brightworks who works with us. It's an employment thingy. It's called Brightworks, not Change Works. But
right. Okay, yeah. So yeah, there's something. So it's a wide range of industries I work with. Every business is different, and it's the job of the salesperson or sales coach in my instance to really find out about the business, because a lot of their challenges will be similar.
Yeah.
Not exactly the same, but similar.
Brendan, this was fascinating, by the way.
It's, you can say it's obvious, but, if it was obvious, everyone would be doing it, wouldn't they? And
yeah,
the needs-based, there was a guy who was general manager of Changeworks Recycling for about the first 10 years I was working there. And he said this whole needs-based approach to selling has completely changed their business.
Amazing.
Which is brilliant. The other thing with if we're asking questions around budget, authority, or time frame, so in other words, budget, have they got the money? Has the person got the authority to sign it off? And time frame, when do they want it done by? Or BAT for short. As I said, these acronyms. These are questions that salespeople are most interested in, but only 1 in 4 buyers are concerned with it. So if you're asking questions around budget, authority, and time frame, 75% of your prospects are wondering why you're asking it.
Sneaky. I think it goes to show that people are not stupid.
Yeah. And I think if you go in and, one of the first questions, if you ask, have you got the budget for this, or word it in a different way, immediately people are thinking they're just trying to get money out of me. Because I do when people say that to me.
Yeah.
Certainly. Do you know it's about 8 times easier to sell to an existing customer than find a new customer?
Wow. Yeah, I know that one. I know it's, you're absolutely right. And I've just signed another contract with a business I'm working with, and they're like, yeah, just sign us up again. I mean, I'm not even doing the sales with them. The performance has generated the sales.
Last little bit, 83% of your customers would be happy to provide a referral.
But we never ask.
Right. When people are asked, when people are referred, they're 4 times more likely to buy from you, because they've got a warm referral, so the relationship building has been accelerated. Okay, but only 29% of salespeople ask.
Yeah. Yeah, they never even. Yeah, no, that's fun. Oh, mate. Thank you so much, by the way, Brendan.
That's all right. No problem. No, it's great. Anyone wants it? I drink gallons of coffee every day. Gallons. So.
Well, you're going to send me all your details so I can put the links into the podcast for anyone who wants to get in contact with you, because this was fascinating, by the way.
So I'm based in Edinburgh. I work across the Central Belt in Scotland, but since COVID, the world's a smaller place, and we can do a lot of stuff online as we are now. So anyone that wants to, face to face is better. There's no doubt about that. But anyone that wants a coffee in Edinburgh or Glasgow, give me a yell. Or if you want to catch up online, there's no commitment to do anything, and I try to practice what I preach.
Absolutely.
How much money you got, Cuddy? No.
Thank you so much. This was a different episode of the Mind Management Mentors podcast. This is about yourself, and you're on that coaching journey, and you're like, well, how do I make sales? What's more important, sales or marketing? Well, I think we've answered a lot of questions here, and there's a lot of gems in here, and we never mention the P until their needs have been met.
Understood. Yes.
And that is a massive takeaway for me. I absolutely love that, to be fair.
And if they bring it up, don't answer it.
And if they bring it up, don't
That's
answer
hard.
it.
That's hard not to, but don't.
Yeah, perfect. Always asking questions, deep dive more, meet their needs. As always, thank you very much for.
Pleasure, Cuddy. Thank you very much for having me.
Seriously, Brendan, it was fantastic, mate. Just stay exactly where you are as I close out. Big love from Cuddy, and we'll see you on the next episode of If It's in the Mind, It Can Be Managed, the Mind Management Mentors podcast.